Derrick, you're the only coach in boxing that has 2 unified champions. Are you trainer of the year this year? It's almost over.
Hey man, they'll find somebody to jump in front of me. They'll try to, but they really can't do it this time, I don't think, because of the circumstances. But you know, you never know. They'll find somebody.
ESPN anoints Eddy Reynoso, trainer of Canelo, as the pound for pound trainer of the year. To me, I think that's a gross injustice to Derrick James. I'm going to talk about that in this here video. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Make sure you smash the like button. Also, subscribe to the channel for the latest and greatest in boxing. If you want to become part of the gang, notification gang, please hit the bell icon. Shout out to the super chats, channel donations, the Venmo donations, the Cash App, and the Patreon family. We working. Now, I want to jump right into this video. Make sure you guys smash the like button. But there's a huge disservice being done in boxing. A lot of cap, in the words of Errol Spence. Hey, stop that cap. A lot of cap going on, right? You have a trainer, an African-American trainer in Derrick James. And I think across mainstream boxing, it should be across the board that he is trainer of the year. In fact, a person who's won the trainer of the year previously, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Robert Garcia, even feels this way. And, you know, boxing is just getting to a point where it's like people are playing the sides and politics game, and it's making it ugly for the sport. Now, this is not to say there are not a ton of great trainers. There's a lot of awesome trainers. You know, it's nothing personal against Eddy Reynoso. But if we're looking at different fighters and their stables, then you would have to justify your pick. And Eddy Reynoso, off the top of my head, he has a good stable of fighters. Oscar Valdez, I'm trying to think if he even fought this year. He had a fight. Actually, he did get a stoppage earlier. So that's one fighter that Oscar Valdez that he has. He has Frankie Sanchez, who hasn't been in big fights, because you have to keep in mind the Miguel Berchelt is Oscar Valdez's biggest fight, right? And that particular fight got postponed. Make sure you guys like, also subscribe to the channel. So Oscar Valdez, he did stop Jason Velez. I don't think Jason Velez had been stopped before, and that was his only fight this year. But this was a guy with a 29-6 record, 29-6-1 to be exact, who Ryan Garcia had already beaten. Arboleda had fought as well and beaten, and he was coming off of a loss. So nothing against Oscar Valdez, but he fought a guy in Jaime Arboleda just beat via a tough fight split decision. And then we later seen Chris Colbert come and dominate Arboleda. So I don't think that's stunning enough. Then you had Canelo ALvarez, who was thought to fight earlier in the year. The pandemic happened, and then he went through this legal calamity with DAZN, his former promoter and founder, Oscar De La Hoya, and Golden Boy Promotions. So he didn't fight up until recently, and they threw in an extra belt, the WBC belt, for Canelo's fight. So yeah, he accomplished, and I guess you could say unified. I guess we can call it a unification, but that's not the same thing, because Callum Smith wasn't the owner of that WBC belt. That was actually left behind because David Benavidez failed to make weight. So that's not really a unification for real, because again, this was a belt made available not from Canelo beating David Benavidez, but because the belt was by default because he missed weight, you know, that miscalculation from David Benavidez, right? So who has Eddy Reynoso trained that would put you in the mindset that he is trainer of the year? Again, Canelo, he didn't fight but one time this whole year, and you know, that's cool. But if we're judging off of his fight, it was Callum Smith, and you know, you could say it was a top 3 guy. He was a champion, he was undefeated, but he was also coming off a bad performance versus John Ryder, which most people thought he should lose, including his own hometown crowd. They booed him. So when we look at Derrick James, I think it's pitiful if you know boxing, that I have to even explain this. But Derrick James, he had Errol Spence, who also had a miscalculation in his life that almost cost him his life. And that was the whole car accident with Errol Spence Jr. And Errol Spence Jr. came back off a year-plus layoff and fought a top-rated Danny Garcia. Not only did he fight him, he looked tremendous in the fight. And I gave him virtually almost all the rounds. And normally, Angel Garcia and Danny Garcia, if they don't feel they agree with the judges' scorecards and the victor and they think they won, trust me, they'll be outspoken. But you even seen the disappointment. Angel Garcia said, I'm just disappointed in Danny because I knew he could have did some things different. So they pretty much admitted defeat. Errol Spence looked good. He's a unified champion and he retained. Now that's one unified champion that Derrick James has, right? And then the second is Jermell Charlo, who actually fought Jason Rosario, who was coming off of a career best performance in which he stopped Julian J. Rock Williams in Philly, where Julian J. Rock Williams is from. And not to mention, J. Rock looked superb in somebody else's backyard and took the title, the unified titles from that guy, which was, of course, Swift Jared Hurd. So with this type of pedigree in Derrick James's stable, just those two fighters alone, I think that trumps Eddy Reynoso and anything that he's done this particular year. You know, if you want to, when Canelo beat Golovkin or, you know, a previous year, the year he beat Cotto, you know, that's debatable. But this particular year, you know, I think it has to be Derrick James. I also made a video because it's funny. You have an African-American trainer, Derrick James, and he ain't getting respect. You know, some people aren't putting him on the list. And he has an African-American fighter from Houston, Lions Only, yeah, Jermell Charlo, and he ain't getting respect in terms of pound for pound list. And he unified a very dangerous against a very dangerous Jason Rosario. So, you know, boxing is looking real funny style right now. But leave it to me to keep it real on my channel and use my platform, in my opinion, to do right by boxing. Jermell Charlo should be on the pound for pound list. Absolutely. Derrick James is trainer of the year 2020. First of all, you have to encompass the whole year. The year has been very tumultuous for a lot of people. People were displaced. Some people have lost their lives. We lost a lot of great celebrities. Kobe Bryant, his daughter, everybody on the helicopter, Chadwick Boseman. You know, it's been rough. You have the whole virus, things like that. So we didn't even get too many fights in general because of what we're dealing with globally, the pandemic. So this is like a dead ringer and a no-brainer unless you try to make it harder for ulterior motives. You know what I mean? We didn't even get that many fights. I'm seeing pound for pound lists and fighter of the year lists that don't include Jermell Charlo as a nominee. But Tyson Fury, who many believe cheated, and his own opponent who fought him, Deontay the Bronze Bomber Wilder, believes he cheated. He's somehow on some of these same lists. I mean, this is crazy. It's crazy what people are doing, but I can't really worry too much about what other people are doing. That's why people come to my channel. You know, my credibility will remain intact because I'm to keep calling it how I see and keeping it a buck. Derrick James, listen, if you don't think Derrick James is 2020 trainer of the year, just unsubscribe from my channel. That's how serious it is, because we'll probably never agree on most major topics or talking points. So I'm just giving you a heads up. Unsubscribe. There should be a red button or a gray button or whatever color it is. Unsubscribe from my channel. You know, boxing's on that BS, and you're not going to like what I have to say. So, you know, we can just cut our losses right here and there. Derrick James, absolutely trainer of the year. Canelo fought another European fighter, and, you know, he looked good. He looked good in the fight, but so did Jermell Charlo. And anybody who wants to argue this, Jason Rosario presented far more danger in the fight and was a champion too. And coming on, look at the dichotomy of what I'm saying. Jason Rosario was bigger than Jermell Charlo. He was extremely confident, and he was a unified champion for real. Unlike Caleb Smith, who really had one belt and the WBC diamond belt, because they keep making a belt for every occasion, Black Lives Matter belt and all these other belts and stuff like that. Jason Rosario took 2 titles in a guy's backyard and in the fight itself looked extremely dangerous. Jermell Charlo was facing adversity. He was in there with the big, strong Jason Rosario, who was the champion. He dropped him like 3 times. Canelo dropped Caleb Smith no times, and Caleb Smith shelled up and most likely had a 4-week camp. You know, this is just ridiculous from ESPN and anybody else who is not giving credit where credit is due. Derrick James all the way. You know, the streets are going to always control boxing. Old media can say and do whatever they want, but we know who the real trainer of the year is this year, and it's Derrick James. That's all I got to say. Let me know what you guys think. Drop your thoughts in the comment section. If you disagree with me, which I know you're lying, but if you disagree for some odd reason, don't just disagree to be disagreeing. Drop me a comment and let me know a detailed explanation of how Eddy Reynoso trumps Derrick James in this particular year. Again, this is no shade. Eddy Reynoso, he's a great trainer. He's doing great work with Canelo. Canelo's defense looked good. He looked good in the Callum Smith fight. I can't make that any more clear. But in a contest, it's like a dunk contest. 2 people can dunk. But was Ben Gordon's dunk better? That's what we're looking at. Both of the dunks were nice, you know, and that's how I feel with the Eddy Reynoso this year. You know, he did some good things, and he's doing his thing, but he can't be trainer of the year. No way, no how. When you have 2 unified champions in one stable, right? The Frankie Sanchez, I don't even know who his last opponent was on the Canelo undercard, you know. So that's my thoughts. Drop yours in the comment section. As always, hate, comment, and subscribe. Till next video, it's Ego signing off.
So if you enjoyed this video and want more content like this on the channel, you can show your appreciation by going to the PayPal donate button or the YouTube support button, and you can donate any amount that you feel is equivalent to the value of this video. Much more to come. Thank you guys for your support. Boxing Ego, the future of boxing.